Hi. Right. I'm back with you again. Thank you to Veronica for asking me on. So we'll just wait to see who all comes on. And again, thank you in advance for joining. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone at the moment. Fingers crossed we'll get someone soon. If you're on, if you're watching this on live, pop your name down and I'll give you a reading. If not, and you're on replay, just do hashtag replay, get it out there. Hi, Patrick. How are you? Right, let's have a look and see. I've clicked on the wrong bit. There we go. I can see it now. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Iris. Hi, Scorpio. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Gia. Hi, Chrissy. Okay. May you have a reading? You can indeed. You can indeed. Right. Right. Gia, may I have a reading, please? You can indeed. Just give me a minute. Okay. Your name's Lacey. Okay, Michelle. Right. Gia. What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Right. We've got Knight of Fire. Okay. And I believe that you are a passionate sort of person who takes their dreams and basically runs with them. And with that, I am getting a gentleman coming in on my right side. And he is, I want to say, no, I'm not going to say what he is. I'm going to tell you about him first. Okay. This gentleman's quite tall. I reckon within 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", maybe. And I want to say, he looks to me, he's presented himself to be in his 40s. And he's got dark hair with wisps, tiny wisps of grey, but it's mostly dark. In fact, it's 99.9% dark. He's just getting like tiny little bits of grey, if that makes sense. And he's I don't want to say his hair was his crown and glory, but he was proud of his hair, if you know what I mean. He always styled it nicely, and he always made sure it was washed and styled basically, and cut regular. So yeah, I am reading for you just now. If you can understand, as I say, I'd appreciate it. So if you can write down and say and keep up, and then the more you interact with me, the quicker it comes. Yes, I do. He's my dad. He passed on car accident in his 40s. Yes, Peruvian, dark skin. Oh my God. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. As I say, just tiny wisps of grey hair. He was a very proud man, a very I want to say stoic. He's given me the word stoic. He was very proud. He lived for what he believed in, if that makes sense. He stood proud in his shoes and he stood upright. And as I say, he was a proud man, if you can understand that. I'm actually seeing him in a suit. And I want to say a suit. He showed me at like an occasion, and it's like I want to say it's like a silk suit. That's the only way I can describe it. It's shiny, so it's either silk or satin. I think it's silk, because I want to say he had quite expensive tastes. He knew style. He was very stylish and he knew style, if that makes sense. Yes, engineer, very professional. Yes, always wearing suits. Yeah. And as I say, he had this one suit that he was really, I don't know, proud of. He'd worked hard all his days, and this suit was an expensive suit, and it was just him. He carried it very, very well, if that makes sense. So yeah. Okay, what would you like to say to you? Are you his only daughter, Gia? You're either his oldest daughter or his only daughter. You have a picture of his silk suit. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, he wants to pass his proudness onto you. He wants you to believe in yourself, and he wants you to. It's hard to explain by passing his proudness onto you. He wants you to be proud of who you are. He wants you to stand in your own skin and be proud of who you are. Shout from the rooftops, I am Gia, I am proud of myself, and be confident in yourself wherever you go. That's what he said. The most important thing you can do for yourself in life is to have confidence. And you're the oldest. Yeah, I thought that. I wasn't sure if he was saying you're the oldest or you were the only. I just couldn't quite make it out, but I knew you're one of the two. As I say, he wants you to carry yourself with confidence. Whatever you do in life, he says, go there with confidence. Go there with pride of who you are, and take that pride with you. That's the only way I can explain it. He just wants you to stand tall in who you are. He's saying that you do sort of do this anyway, but always remember who you are and always remember where you come from. And that is the biggest thing he wants you to carry with you, Gia. You have tears in your eyes. This is so accurate. I'm a single mom. It's hard at times. It can be very hard at times, Gia. I totally get that. I totally understand that. And I think this is what he's trying to tell you, that he wants you to, no matter what your situation is in life, stand tall and walk in your own shoes, if that makes sense. Walk in your own, just let people know that you're there. If you can understand that. That's how he lived his life, and it's how he wants you to live your life, if you can understand that. And I'll leave his love with you, Gia, and thank you so much for being my first one on tonight. And right, let's have a look. I've got a lot of Facebook users tonight. If excuse me, if you follow Veronica's put a link up. If you're probably seeing your own name, but we're not seeing your name. If it just says Facebook user, if you could go to the link that Veronica's put up and register, your name will automatically come up on this reading. So yeah, thank you. Right, could I have a reading? Natalie Dunn. Yeah, of course you can. Okay, Natalie Dunn, if you're still there. I'm just going to get a drink just to give you a time to. Okay, Natalie. Right, let's have a look down the bottom. Right, Natalie Dunn. Perfect, thank you. Right, let's have a look and see. Right, let's have a look. Okay, right, what have we got? Oh, we've got the Dreamer. Okay, right. You are a bit of a dreamer, and I want to say that. I don't want to say you live in the past so much, but sometimes you find yourself thinking about the past a little too much, basically, and the card's basically saying to stop living in the past so much and live in the present, because the past is done and dusted. No matter what happened in the past or whatever, it is done and dusted. And they're saying that they want you to basically have a little bit of fun in your life more than anything else. And with that, I have a gentleman coming in on my right shoulder, and right, no, I'm not going to say who it is for a second. I was going to say, right, this is an elderly gentleman, okay? I just want to be 100% sure before I say who it is. Okay, this is an elderly gentleman, okay? And I want to say he was in his 70s, but he looked older, if you can understand that. And I think it was the illness that made him look sort of older, if that makes sense. He was late 70s, I want to say, but he still looked older than his years, if you can understand that, Natalie. He was old-fashioned in his ways. And what I mean by that, he was the type of man who, if you was walking along the street with him, he would be on the outside, because he believed that the woman should be on the inside. That was his way, just old-fashioned manners, if that makes sense. He's telling me that he had a little patch of land, and I don't mean land as such. I mean just like a little patch in the end of the garden that he grew vegetables, and telling me onions in it as well. Why he's speaking about the onions, I'm not 100% sure, but he when I said potatoes, he threw in the word onions, so that must have been something that he was proud of growing. Okay, right, where are we? Natalie Dunn. Okay, last I heard it might be Grandad. Okay, this gentleman, I see him actually with a bit of a belly on him, and I also see him with like, it looks to me like braces on. Okay. And as I say, he did go out in the garden, and he was quite a lot in the garden. He was more of a potterer, if you know what I mean, just potting about the garden and just snipping at the flowers and digging up the weeds. And as I say, there was a little patch, and as I say, I'd only say it was about maybe 10 feet square, not even that, just to grow these little bits of veg, if that makes sense. That was just his doodling time, if you can understand that at all, Natalie. Okay. Right. He's also telling me, and I want to say left hand, there was something wrong with his left hand around about the wrist area, okay? Because he's making me very aware of mine. So I want to say that he had, at one point, I don't know if he had an operation on his thumb and he was bandaged up around here. As I say, he's showing me like a stookie, like a bandage. Like, I can't think what you call them, when plastic cast, that's it, the hard bandage. So I don't know if he fell and broke his wrist or what, but there's something about his left wrist that he's telling me. Right, I'm just looking up to see if you've written anything else. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Okay, okay, you're not sure about that. Okay. Okay, he's also right. He's talking about at some point. Could you let the cat out for me, please? Could you possibly let the cat out for me, please? Sorry, she's scratching at the door. Sorry. Yeah. Right, where are you? Right, this gentleman had glasses. He showed me that he had glasses. In fact, he had two. You're not sure who it is. Okay, right. This gentleman had. If anyone else can listen, in case someone else can take it. This gentleman had glasses. He had. I want to say 2 sets of glasses, but in one set it was like. I don't know what you call them, bifocals. With a thick bit at the bottom so that you could read through them and look above. But he also had separate reading glasses, if that makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, so, right, what else? This gentleman, as he got older, and as I say, he wasn't that old, but I want to say late 70s. He started getting really forgetful. I don't think he was diagnosed with the likes of dementia or anything like that, but there was definite signs of it. Because he'd forget sort of what he was talking about. He'd repeat himself, and it was just that sort of way. So he definitely had some sort of memory problems, if you can understand that, Natalie. If anyone else can understand it, if Natalie's not understanding it, maybe. Right, for Joey. Right. Okay. Right. Natalie, have you stopped speaking for a second, because I can't find you? Right, maybe your grandfather. Okay. Right, well, as I say, if you carry on listening, this gentleman had just a little vegetable patch at the end of his garden, and he was quite often out there pottering and whatnot. And when he wasn't pottering in his little vegetable patch, he was pottering around the rest of the garden, snipping at the flowers and just like digging out weeds and whatnot. But that was just his time, if that makes sense. This gentleman also enjoyed reading. He had I want to say, like a tall, thin bookshelf next to his chair, and he had different style of books in there. He also had a few encyclopedias and that sort of thing in there. Right. Anything else? Right. You're still there. Are you understanding any of it at all, Natalie? Because as I say, I'll maybe ask this gentleman to step back if you're not understanding it, but I'll wait for your answer if that's okay. As I say, he's actually a bit of a joker, a bit of a you could actually really hold a conversation. You could hold a really good conversation with him, but he was a bit of a joker as well, a bit of a you don't know who it is, so it's not your granddad. Okay. Right, I'm going to ask this gentleman to step back, Natalie, and I'll move on to someone else, and I'll maybe come back to you to see whoever comes in. Okay. But thank you so much for working with me. Okay. Right, that's him gone. Okay. Right, let's have a look. When Nancy Shearman. Nancy Shearman. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Okay, right. So let's have a look. Nancy Shearman. Okay, if you're still here, Nancy, I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom, make sure that you are. Okay. You can take it all, Kelly. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get a split link now. I've told him I've asked him to step back, so I'll leave it there and I'll see if I can bring him through after. I'm just gonna work with someone Shearman. Who is it? Nancy Shearman. Okay. Right. Right, Nancy, if you're still there, if you could tell me, please, so that I can. Cindy Woodside, Nancy Shearman. Okay, no, okay, you're not there. Yes, you are. Apologies. Right, I picked the 6 of water for you. Okay, okay. So this is telling me that you've got happy memory of your childhood. Is what this card's telling me. It's also telling me that you see that feather there. Oh, wrong way. See that feather there? That's telling me that you've got. I want to say that you've got someone that's around you a lot. You know, a past loved one that is around you quite a lot. Okay, Nancy. And I have a lady coming through. I have a lady coming through, and I believe this lady was only. I'm getting 2 ages here for some reason. I'm getting 40s and I'm getting 60s. If you can understand any of the 2 of those, and I don't know why I'm getting the 2 unless I'm getting 2 people, but I can't see that. It's usually just the one. As I say, I've got this lady, unless you're in your 40s and she was in her 60s. I believe this lady passed in her 60s, Nancy. Do you understand that at all? Why did you give me 40s as well? Okay. Your mum was 66. Okay. Can I ask, are you in your 40s? Maybe that's what, as I say, I'm getting 40s and I've got 60s, but as I say, I believe this lady was in her 60s. You turned 40 this year. Brilliant. Thank you. That's what she's acknowledging. The fact that you turned 40, that your birthday is coming up. Okay. Right. Okay. This lady's telling me that she was a talker, and what I mean by a talker, she could talk to anyone about anything, if that makes sense. She didn't think twice of speaking to a stranger. She actually reminds me of the type that would just be at home behind like a shop. I can't think of the word, but a shop assistant who would speak to anyone, who would help anyone, if that's sort of, if you can understand that. I'm also getting that she's starting, my words are starting to get into a muddle and everything else, and I don't know if she had memory problems towards the end of her days. I don't know if she had problems expressing what she was feeling, but I'm definitely getting the impression that I'm struggling to talk. I'm struggling to get out what I need to get out, and that's what she's impressing on me. If you can, yes, you did. Okay, thank you. Right, now we've got that out. Hopefully that'll go away. Okay, right. She's given. I don't know why, but she's given me like a parrot. Does a parrot? Do you understand a parrot? Did she keep a parrot? She's given. First of all, I heard African grey, and then I saw like a green shade of a parrot, and it's quite a big sized parrot that she's given me. So as I say, I hope you can understand a parrot. Okay, this lady actually liked her animals. She was an animal lover, and she couldn't stand anyone who was like nasty to animals, or and she couldn't understand anyone who didn't like animals. And she was the type who believed if you didn't like animals, there was something amiss with you, if that makes sense. Because It was just the way what she believed in. If you can understand that, if you didn't like animals, there was definitely something wrong with you, in her eyes. If you can understand that at all, Nancy. As I say, she was an animal. I want to say an animal protector in her own way. As I say, I'm just getting animals of all sorts coming in. So as I say, she would have. Yes, she was an animal lover. Yeah, as I say, it's not just dogs and cats or anything else, but I'm seeing horses and wild animals and everything else. It's just she was an animal lover in general. Okay, thank you. Right. Okay. Okay. She's making me aware of here. Does she have a scar or something down her face here? She's making me aware of something down my face here. I don't know if it's a scar or something just around about my chin, between my chin and my cheek. If she's just making me aware of it. And as I say, I just feel like it's a scar. And it's a scar it's like an itchy scar, and I really want to scratch at it, if that makes sense. Okay. Right. What would you like to say to Nancy? Okay. Have you... Yes, thank you. Have you been not well lately? And I want to talk like chesty, like bronchitis-y, bronchial tubes, that sort of way. She's making me aware that someone hasn't been well with like bronchial tubes, bronchitis, chest infection, something around here that someone hasn't been well with. Yes, okay, perfect, thank you. Right, well, she's making me aware, as I say, that someone hasn't been well, but they are obviously, they need to look after themselves a little bit more. It's because they've been run down. They've been. She's telling me in my she's telling me in my head that not about the bronchitis, but before that, before the bronchitis set in, before the chest infection set in, she's given me. She's actually saying they're fighting a losing battle. Now, what she's meaning by that is nothing to do with your illness, but there's something that's been made you run down, if that makes sense. And it's like you're fighting against something, or you're fighting against someone, and it's like all this pressure and stress has made you ill. If you can understand that, has put your immune system down, and this is why you've got the chest infection or the person around you. Does that make any sort of sense? Right, where else am I? Right. Okay. Right, Nancy, as I say, this is what she's saying. As I say, before that, she's saying that the fight that you were having before that, she says, just forget about it. She says, just forget about it. Let that person, whoever it is, have their own way, and just, yes, you do. Brilliant. Thank you. Let them have their own way, because it's not worth it on your health, if you can understand that. You get ill and it's just not worth it. Just let them get on with it. It's the same, because karma will do her work, basically. So right. Right, okay. I will thank you very much for working with me, okie doke. And what I want to say is, she's adamant that you whatever went on before you got ill, for you to forget about. She's still saying it just now. So I'll leave her love with you, and as I say, she's asking you to do as she asks, or she asked, I should say. Okay, so I'll leave her love, and thanks very much for working with me. Okie doke. Right. Right, there's loads of folk on now. Hi, Jan. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Danny. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Anne. Wow, there's loads. Right, let's have a look and see what I can do. Christine Davies, you'd love a message. Okay, Christine Davies. Okay. You'd love to connect with your son. Okay, Christine Davies for a second, and we'll go from there. Okay. Oh, that one's adamant it's going to be red. Okay. Right, Christine Davies. Right. Hi, Christine. Right, we've got the 9 of fire. Okie dokie. Right, okay, right. You see these wand things here? They've got a hell of a lot of flowers and that all around it. So I feel that you've come so far in your life, but you've still got a hell of a lot more to go. There's a load of new growth in that on those they're not swords, but wands. There's a hell of a lot of new growth on them, and it's telling me, as I say, you've came so far, but you've still got a hell of a growing to do, if that makes sense. And there's an awful lot of resistance in you as well. It's like not resistance, resilience in you as well. As I say, no matter what storms of life come, you battle on, if that makes sense. So yeah, and with that, I have a gentleman over my right shoulder, and I want to say he's a dad. If he's not a dad, he's a stepfather. He's definitely stepped into that father role, if that makes sense. So yeah, okay, this gentleman, he's making, what are you making me aware of? He's making me aware of my hips and my top of my right leg. Okay, so this man had problems with either his muscles or his hip joint. Okay, this is what he's making me aware of. Okay, I also want to say the word arthritis. He didn't just have it in that joint; he had it in a few joints. But as I said, that was his worst joint, if that makes sense. But it's also, I'm also getting muscular down in, your big bone between your knee and your thigh. That's what he's making me aware of there, like really aches and pains in there, if you can understand that. Okay. He's also making me aware of, I think he liked motorbike. In fact, I know at some point he liked motorbikes, and I'm taking this back to when he was younger. He liked his motorbikes. He liked his but he's laughing and saying latterly, like in later years, he couldn't lift his leg to go over one, and he's laughing about it. Although I do believe in life he didn't find it that funny, if that makes sense. But now he sees it in hindsight. Everything's clear in hindsight, and he's saying that he couldn't lift his leg to get over the bike even if he wanted to, towards the end. Okay, he had problems with his legs. Yep. As I say, he did try to make lighthearted of it when he realized that to start with, he took it to heart, if that makes sense, when he was first realized that there was no going back, if that makes sense. He was always going to have that problem, but then he ended up, as I say, I want to say not making a joke of it, because that's the wrong terminology entirely, but he did try to make light of it, if that makes sense, and he accepted it and he tried to make light of it. That's the only way I can explain it. Okay, you don't know about the bike, that's fine. Okay, well, he said bike and I said motorbike, but he only said bike. So did he have a push bike? Because as I say, he only said bike, I said motorbike. So I'm just, yes, okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, right. He was one for getting the papers every day, and he'd get the paper every day and he'd do the crossword every day, is what he'd tell me. He was one for putting the radio on in the mornings before he went to any sort of work, or when he first got up in the mornings, is what he's telling me. He had to have, his brain had to be doing something. He's telling me that he either had to be reading a newspaper or no. Okay, right. He's talking about newspapers and he's talking about the radio on. Or the radio was always on in the house or something. He's given me an old-fashioned style looking transistor radio, the little ones with like the mesh at the front, is what he's given me. Okay, but then, okay, right. He's also given me, a watch with a brown leather strap. And he got this watch as a gift, Christine. He's talking about a gift of a watch, and he wore it for years and years and years. And it had a brown leather strap, and the leather strap was so worn that it was like flappy, if that makes sense. You know how sometimes when, as I say, the leather gets really weak at one bit, and as I say, it started to flap, if you can understand that, where it got so soft. Okay. Right. He's also given me, when someone usually gives me food, there's usually something. He's given me a big pot of stew and it's got dumplings in it. Okay. Now, normally it's either something's wrong with someone's diet, or they obviously or particularly liked this like homemade stew or whatever, and that would be a memory for you. But he's given me this. It's like a casserole. It's not on the stovetop. It's actually from the oven. And as I say, it's got like dumplings, like crispy top dumplings from the oven, if that makes sense, is what he's given me. So I would say that would be something that he enjoyed having, rather than something wrong with your diet, if that makes sense. Okay, right. He's also saying he was I want to say he was very organized. He's telling me that he was very organized. He's always been pretty organized, if that makes sense. And I'm talking about paperwork, okay? And he's saying about his paperwork before he passed was all in order, apart from one piece of paperwork that wasn't in order. Everything else was in order. Does that make sense to you, Christine? There's one piece of paperwork that wasn't in order, but the rest was all in order, that he kept in his folder or whatever, so that when he passed, all he had to do was sort of look in this folder and all his details was there, but there was one that wasn't there, if you can understand that. Yeah, okay. So he wants to apologize the fact that one, you had to go looking for that one piece of paper, if that makes sense. As I say, he was the type of man who I want to say he was very solid, very robust, but not in his figure, but in his ways. He was a salt of the earth, if you can understand that. Okay. I also want to say that he's telling me he didn't make the best choices in life, if you can understand that. He's saying that there's one relationship or something that he didn't make the best choice about. What is it you're trying to say? Okay, there's one relationship that he didn't make the best choice about, and I don't know if that is a relationship that he had with someone, or did he not make the wrong decision by splitting with someone? I'm not 100% sure, but he's talking about making the wrong choice within a relationship, if you can understand that, Christine. I don't really want to open anything up, but he's adamant that he wants to say about him making this wrong decision, if you can understand that. And he wants to know not how to correct it, because he knows that he's too late to correct anything, but he wants you to know. Okay, he wants you to know that he's aware of his errors in life, if you can understand that. You know, he's come through quite seriously at this bit, and saying that as I say, he's aware of the errors that he made. If you can understand that, you can understand it. Thank you. As I say, I've be careful what I'm saying, because I don't want to bring anything up or whatever. It's a public forum, but as I say, as long as you can understand it, that's the main thing, Christine, and thank you. Okay, as I say, he was quite a determined sort of man, and as I say, in his own way, he had a lot of like strength about him, and I'm talking sort of mental strength rather than anything else. So yeah, he just wants to, as I say, make you aware he is around you. He is around you, and he's also saying that when you see, I've got yellow roses on my wall here, but he's saying when you see a yellow rose, think of him, because he's handed me a yellow rose, and I don't know if that was used or put on his coffin or whatever, but a yellow rose means a lot, is what he's saying. So he said, whenever you see a yellow rose, please think of him, and he'll be there. So I'll leave his love with you, Christine, and thank you so much for working with me. Okay, right, let's have a look. Right, where did I see? Right. And then the cat's wanting in. Right, I'm just trying to scroll up to see who there is. Okay. Yes, who's jumping out at me tonight? Right. Right, Kylie Maiden, are you still there? Kylie Maiden? Okay. Right, let's have a look and see. Kylie Maiden. Right, yes, you're there. Brilliant, thank you. Right, give me a second. Just brilliant. Okay. Right. Okay. I'm not even gonna. Well, I've pulled you a card, and it's all about changes in life and freedom. Basically, this card is like it's transformation, is what it's saying, but it's also telling me that you need to free yourself from something, and then you'll be transformed. If you can understand that, you need to. You're in a situation. I don't know if it's with work or whatever, but you'll know yourself what situation that you're in, and you need to. This card's saying that you need to sort of set yourself free from it, and then transformation will occur, if you can understand that. And with that, I have. Okay. I was going to say a man, but a lady's appeared. Okay, right. So I'm going to bring the lady in first. Okay, I believe there's two. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm bringing the lady in first. Okay, right. I've got this lady, and I want to say she was in her 70s when she passed, maybe even a little bit older, in fact. And I am seeing. Right, okay, both your grandparents. Okay, I'm seeing that this lady was very much her own person, very much, I don't want to say boss because that's the wrong terminology, but out of the two, she was the more forward one than your grandfather, if that makes sense. She was the one that started conversations. She was the one that wanted to do things, whereas granddad was laid back and wasn't bothered. As long as she was happy, he was happy. That's the way he's coming across. It's like he's not bothered at all as long as everyone else is happy. He's happy just to follow along and plod along, is what he's saying. They're also bringing me a dog, okay? And I want to say this dog, yes, definitely, thank you. I want to say this dog is something like a golden retriever or a Labrador or something, that big soft dogs. It's what I'm getting. It's like this dog was so laid back. It was like horizontal, if you know what I mean. It was just, and I'm also seeing granddad in glasses, and I'm also seeing granddad in a cap sometimes as well. You know, like the flat caps that you get. I'm also seeing that he was actually a lovely dresser for an elderly man or whatever. He was a lovely dresser, if that makes sense. He wore his v-neck jumper and with a polo shirt, excuse me, or whatever underneath it, and his trousers were held up with a belt, is what he's showing me. Why he's showing me that, I'm not quite sure, but that's what he's showing me. He's just letting me know that he was pretty, as I say, nicely dressed, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that your grandmother wasn't, obviously, but as I say, for a gentleman of that age or whatever, he was nicely dressed. He's also telling me that, I don't know why, but I'm getting a bus. I don't know if they travelled on a bus quite regular, if he worked on the buses, maybe your gran worked on them. I don't know. I'm just seeing a bus, okay? But it's like the London buses I'm seeing, okay? Now, as I say, I don't know if he worked on a bus or maybe the connection's London, maybe they come from London or even went to London. If there's a London connection somewhere. Yes, he used to catch the bus when he was older. Okay, right, okay. Is there also a connection to London? Okay. Yeah, he's telling me that he went on he's when he was a pensioner, he used to go on the bus because he used to get the free buses when he was a pensioner. Okay, right. As I say, is there a connection to London at all? If maybe they've been to London, or you're thinking he didn't know his real parents. Okay, okay. Maybe that's the connection to London then. Okay. There's definitely a connection to London at some point. I'm also getting that he spoke with quite an accent. He's got I don't know. I'm not good with accents, but it's definitely an accent. Like I've got a Scottish accent, and then you get like the south of England that's got just, I don't know, they talk, if you know what I mean. But he didn't. He had an accent. Like, I don't know if it's Welsh or Yorkshire or somewhere. He had an accent anyway, because that's what I'm getting from him. I'm also getting, but his adopted parents were from the UK. Okay, so is this why I'm getting an accent? Because he wasn't from the UK. Okay, right. I'm also getting that he, right, he was very well spoken. Okay, right. As I say, I was brought to the south of England to explain that they didn't have an accent and they spoke, if that makes sense. And that's why I think maybe I was picking it up and saying that, and it's maybe him that was giving me that to say that's how he spoke. He talked, if that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Right. I'm also seeing, as I say, glasses. He wore glasses at times. And he was quite an outdoor person. He liked walking. He liked his exercise. As I say, he believed in keeping fit. And your nan was the same. She'd go out for a wee walk or whatever with him. They also, he's showing me, what do you call those? You know, like a motorhome. Yes, loved exercising. Yeah. He's showing me like a motorhome. I don't know if he had a motorhome or they maybe hired a motorhome to go on travels and that with, but I'm seeing them in a motorhome, and they're stopping like all over the country, all over, and just going on their holidays, a couple of days here and a couple of days there, and as I say, then driving away and then going somewhere else for a couple of days. This is the way I'm seeing them. It's when they got older, if that makes sense. I also want to say that, right, I'm also want to say he's saying that money was, when they were younger, money was, I don't want to say tight, but when they were younger, as I say, when they were very, very young, they were like robbing Peter to pay Paul, if that makes sense. And then as they got older, and they started working and the family came along and everything else, they started to be not well off, but they could afford things. They could afford, he would do that, but not in a motorhome. Okay. Maybe he's given me, maybe that's just a symbol for me to say that, and I've basically worked hard and he built their first home. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get along to. As I say, it got to the stage where, as I say, they had their first home and they bought it, and as I say, money wasn't so tight then, if that makes sense. But they appreciated everything they had. But right at the very start of their relationship, it was quite tight, if that makes sense. But yeah, going back to this motorhome, maybe that's a symbol for me to remember in future, that means that, as I say, they travelled around, not necessarily in a motorhome, but they travelled around, as I say, stopping in different places for a couple of days. I'll remember that in future. Thank you. Yes, they were comfortable. Yes, and that's what they're saying. They were comfortable, especially latterly. And it's him that stepped in to say this. You had a caravan, okay? He's stepping in to say this, that you work for what you've got and appreciate what you've got, and money isn't everything, is what he's trying to say. He's saying, he said there's more important things in life than money, if that makes sense. But also, to save what you can for a rainy day, is what he's saying, because that was his type. He always puts a few pound away for a rainy day, because he never knew when a rainy day would come, if that makes sense. He's quite, I want to say he was very logical minded. Yes, you see that now. Okay. As I say, he was very logical minded, and he sort of quietly, I'll say quietly, looked after the finances, because your nan got given like I want to say like a housekeeping, if that makes sense. And she paid the bills with the housekeeping and whatnot, but he was a quiet saver, and this is what kept them going, if that makes sense, especially sort of later through the years. He's saying about he had good pensions and that. So as I say, and she had a good pension. So as I say, they were comfortable. They were comfortable, and they're saying that's what they'd like to see for you to be comfortable. Do you have any news on my health? I'll ask them. I can't guarantee anything, Kylie. I will ask. Okay. I'm asking about your health, okay? And they're making me aware of my stomach, okay? Sort of middle stomach, whereabouts your navel is and below, if that makes sense. So they're making me aware of my stomach. And yes, they were. Yeah, okay. Yeah, as I say, they're just making me aware of my stomach. They're not telling me nothing. It's my stomach. Okay, okay. Well, as I say, they're not telling me nothing. They're just saying that. Right, the words I got was follow doctor's orders. So follow your doctor's orders, okay? As I say, they are making me aware of my stomach, and yes, you've just confirmed that. Thank you. But as I say, what they're trying to say is follow your doctor's orders, and rest. And rest is what they're saying. You don't need stress. You need to rest, basically, Kylie, is what they're saying, and look after yourself. You know, you look after everyone else. Get them to look after you for a wee while, take the pressure off of you, and once you're stress free, you can start working on yourself, if that makes sense. Is what they're saying. And your nan is she's standing there with her arms open. It's like she really wants to give you a big cuddle and tell you that she loves you and she misses you as well as you miss her. And I will leave their love with you, Kylie, and thank you so much for working with me. Okay, thank you. Right, let's have a look. Right, Veronica, could you put down what time I'm supposed to finish? Because I've no idea. And then I'll read the comments. Right, let's have a look. Right. Come on, name jump out at me. Name jump out at me, come on. Right. Alright, there's no names jumping out. Come on, there's lots of names up there. 8 p.m. Thank you. Right. Are my parents okay with how I've handled everything since they've passed over? Okay, Jennifer Sedman. Your name's jumped out. I've scrolled up and down and no one else's name's jumped out. So, right, Jennifer. Oh, that's what card is yours. Jennifer Sedman. Right, Jennifer. I have the Four of Earth, okay? And the Four of Earth it's all about being in control. If you can understand that. It's about you're not an extravagant kind of person. You sort of rein the money in. You don't overspend, if that makes sense. And you like control of your finances, okay? Right, are you still... Where are we, Jennifer? Right, I'm just going to scroll back to the bottom. Brilliant. Okay, as I say, so you like to be in control of your finances, okay? And with that, I have a lady coming in on my left, And I want to say, it's, was there a distance or something between you and your mum? I'm getting like a distance, and I don't mean distance like emotional distance. I'm getting long distance, if that makes sense. The state of my parents, okay. But I'm getting like a long distance away, like you lived a long way away from them. So that's 120 miles apart. Okay, right, that's fine. That's why I was getting the distance. I wasn't sure if it was emotionally or miles, but I felt more miles, if that makes sense. So yes, okay. Right. Okay. Your mum's saying that they left their estate. I'm going to go to paperwork. I was talking about paperwork earlier on, and a lot. I'm in Shropshire, they're in Oxfordshire. Okay. Okay, right. I'm talking about paperwork again, and I want to say that a lot of paperwork was left. I'm getting a pile of paperwork here, all in a. I'm seeing it all in a muddle, if that makes sense. So what that's telling me is not all their paperwork and everything else was sorted out, and after they passed it, it was left for you to sort that out, if that makes sense. So what I'm seeing, as I say, is paperwork here, paperwork there, my whole desk covered in paperwork. So I know that it wasn't easy after they passed. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy job for you to do. But you've managed it, and your mum's actually saying about a pat on the back. She's not the type of person really to, I want to say, give you a cuddle and say well done. She'd rather give you a pat on the back, if that makes sense. And I also get that your dad was maybe the sort that would rather shake a hand than give you a cuddle, if that makes sense. But then I'm dealing with it still, just selling the empty in the house now still. Okay. And do you understand when I say that she'd rather give you a pat on the back? Give you a sort of like a standoffish cuddle, but just pat you on the back rather than giving you a cuddle, if that makes sense. And she's just saying that she wasn't used to having cuddles or whatever as she grew up, and she found it quite difficult. She wasn't standoffish. Shake hands and pat on the back. Yes, okay, thank you. As I say, she wasn't standoffish, but she just didn't know how to express. And as I say, it was like a cuddle from a distance, and it was a pat on the back. That's the only way I can describe it. But she's just saying that's the way she was. That's the way life made her. That's the way her parents were with her, if that makes sense. But she's saying you're not like that with yours, and she saw that, and she's telling me that sometimes she wished she could have been more like you in that respect, if you can understand that. You've obviously changed. Stopped it there, and you're not the same with your kids as she was with you in that respect. And she's just saying about you're a huggy person. Yeah, that's it. That's what she's trying to say. And what she's saying is she often used to look at you and wish that she could be like that, but she couldn't. And if she did try, she was very, very aware that that wasn't her. If you can understand, that is what she's making me feel. It's like putting yourself into a position where you're not comfortable, and that's what how she's making me feel. Like she wasn't comfortable being a huggy person like you are. But that's her. But she's saying she was very bossy, and that's how she yeah, that's how it's coming across to me. That as I say, she had to she put her foot down all the time, and her way of loving someone or loving people, her family, was putting food on the table, keeping a roof over their head, and doing the cleaning and everything else, and telling them what to do and setting them on the right road and that sort of thing. And that's the way she loved people. That's the way it was shown, if that makes sense. But as she's saying now, if she could go back in time and live it again, she wouldn't be like that, because she realizes now how, I don't want to say false, because that's the wrong word, but she's making me feel like that's the only way she knew how. And if she could do it again, she would do it your way. Yeah, she never stopped. Yeah. As I say, in her own way, she was a lovely lady. In her own way, she was a really lovely lady. But she just had that wall. It's like a brick wall, and nothing could penetrate that brick wall with her, if that makes sense. She wasn't one to show her feelings. She wasn't one to talk about how she felt. She wasn't, although she's telling me that she'd go away and cry herself and then came back and put her mask back on, if you can understand that, Jennifer. But as I say, she is proud of the way you're doing it, what you're doing, and she is sorry that she left everything for you to do until the end of days. I told her off for it. Yes, she was lovely, but that wall, I understand. Yeah, okay. As I say, there's no doubt about it. As I say, she was a lovely woman, but she just didn't know how to express anything, if that makes sense. And sometimes that, when she tried to express it, it would come out in anger, and then she knew that she was wrong for feeling anger, if that makes sense. You know, she'd get totally and utterly confused with her emotions because she wasn't taught how to deal with her emotions from a young age, if that makes sense. But she knows that she's done something right with you, she says, because you can deal with your emotions, you can show your kids you love them, etc. So she knows that she's done something right with you. So she wants to leave her love with you. Actually spot on, and yes, she told me off a lot. Okay, yeah, she reminds me of the type that would tell you off a lot. But as I say, that was just her, and nothing. You just can't change someone the way she is, you know. So yeah, I'll leave her love with you, and thank you so much, Jennifer. And she's saying she is proud, and she's giving you that pat on the back. So take that pat in the back and know that it's given with love, okay? And I'll leave our love with you, Jennifer, and thank you so much for working with me, okay? Right, it's now 19:57. There's no way I can get a reading in the next 2.5 minutes. Dad was softer but still firm. Yep, we love from afar. Oh, it's lovely. Thank you. As I say, I'll have to get going, as I say, because I'm due off at 8 o'clock and I can't give a reading within 2 minutes or so. I know I'm fast, but not that fast. So I'll get going, and thank you so much for your support tonight, and I'll be on again soon. Okay. I do have a page. I think Veronica's put it up. It's at FindMeAMedium, and I have a website as well. And we've also got Rachel on at 4 o'clock tomorrow. So remember, set your alarms and come back at 4 tomorrow, because Rachel's brilliant. Okay. Right. See you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.